Timo, for being online and being as long as you've been waiting. It's 25 minutes, I think, up to now. Okay. Let's go and do it as quickly as possible because we don't know how long we could be able to do it. Okay, the idea is that Timo will give us a little bit of a lecture about how to speed startups from the sales point of view and how to help us out to bring investors into your company. That is the whole idea. Okay, I have the pleasure of meeting and work with Timo a few years ago. Actually, after I left Ericsson, I joined the company that Timo was the CEO, First Hope. It was a very successful company. It was other times also. When you raise money at the time, you get millions. And probably they were not so easy to get. And I know that Timo also can give us a little bit of a feedback about how not to burn that much capital, because when you need to be back to the investors, probably they're going to be asking you much more than they asked you in the beginning. I know what happened at that time, but I prefer Timo that give you the what happened in his case. Timo speak perfect Spanish, and perfect English, and of course perfect Finnish and perfect Swedish, and yeah, we use Swedish as a way of coding sometimes the meetings when we were in front of Telefonica and everything. Timo has been spending a few years in Spain. I believe he's more than 3, 4.
2.5 years only. 2.5 years.
Okay, his Spanish is absolutely amazing. You're going to be checking, and he's been also helping the company also to expand, different companies to expand. I believe you've been spending some time also in Latin America right now, right? So, okay, he also started different companies, and right now he's working in a company called F-Secure. Probably you may know the company, and he's leading one of the projects regarding cloud services. But I prefer that, Timo, you lead the conversation from now on. So if we can keep it like 25 minutes, and then we can go on and do crash mentoring on the different companies. Is it okay?
That's good. That's very good.
Okay.
Thanks, and very nice to meet you all. I'm over here in Helsinki, and to begin with, I need to show you what it's like over here. I just give you a short view from the office window.
Okay. It sounds familiar for me.
Yeah. So what you can see in front of you is a river.
Okay.
Which is naturally frozen and covered by about 20 centimeters of snow.
I'm not going to be showing you what we have right now here, but I'm sweating myself, and I think it's about 20 degrees probably today. It's all right, 22 or something like that.
That's fine. That's fine. We've all been hypnotized here in Finland to read all the studies about the world, how we're #1 in education and #1 in internet and #1 in mobile and what have you, and we believe all this bullshit, and we're happy with what we have. So even this deep freeze is okay. All right, so I'll get started. So for the first part, I'll just give a very quick intro in addition to the kind words that Rafa just said. So I've been in the technology industry now for about 30 years. My work has always been about promoting software-based business, either licensing software, but for the past 10 years, more often than not, it's been providing services based on software and technology. And for instance, now I'm running at F-Secure the personal cloud business unit, which is a similar kind of business as Dropbox or OneDrive or Google Drive and so forth. So we're not selling software at all, we're providing a service. Interesting, you know, it's given me perspective over 30 years. I've been CEO for 2 venture-funded companies for about 9 years. Here in Finland, we got investors from Silicon Valley, from the UK, from Sweden, even from the small, tiny country of Finland. And it's been a very interesting ride for the past, let's see how many years, about 4 years. I've been in 2 listed companies, first working as a chief commercial officer, and now I'm a vice president of the cloud solutions at F-Secure. So I've been in small companies and bigger companies, and I think that it's a good training for anyone to understand what entrepreneurial spirit is all about. So, sales in early stage startups. My background is that I have a business degree from the business school here in Finland. So I'm through and through a salesperson. I've been running sales and marketing several times in my life, but in the past 10-15 years I've been mostly a general manager or CEO, but I am from sales and marketing. That's what defines me. And when it comes to sales, I think it is the, how should I say, it is the mother and father and stepson of all the different tasks that you can have in a company. If you don't know how to sell, you don't know much. And even if you're a developer, you're a finance person, you're a product marketeer, you should still understand what sales is about. And the smaller the unit that you're working for, or the company that you're starting up, everybody is a salesperson in one way or another. To begin with, I'd like to shoot down a big myth that the great salesmen are somehow very, very special. They're a different race from everybody else. You know, they live in Pluto, they only drink red wine and kava, and they have the most beautiful girls and the most handsome guys, and they're somehow a species of their own. Well, they're not. How do great salespeople look like? Men or women? Black or white? Muslim or Christian, whatever. They can look like the faces that I'm looking at in the room right there. Each and every one of you have unique personal capabilities that no one else on this planet has. Every single one of us. When we know and learn how to play on these strengths that we have for real, and we're acting honest and we're playing on our true strengths, when we understand what those are, we become fantastic salesmen under the right circumstances. So, you know, it's not like sales is somehow reserved for just a few of us. All of us can be great salesmen. If I give you an example, I worked in Spain and I had a partner in Portugal. There was this guy who was running sales towards the finance sector, and he was the biggest piece of personality that I have ever met. He was complaining, moaning, everything was always wrong. And he closed deal after deal after deal after deal. When he was behaving and, you know, proposing something to the outside world, his personality changed completely, and I would say that that was the normal self. Whereas when he was internally in the company, everything was always very difficult. I would never have believed that that one person would have sold even a pencil, but he sold systems worth millions. I had another colleague here in Finland who, in a very typical style in Finland, was very quiet. You know, he was a guy who barely made any comments in meetings. Very quiet. He just asked, so, how would you like to run your business? What's broken in your business right now? What's stopping you from solving this? Just made a few questions here and there, mostly listened, and closed sales like crazy. And all the customers loved the person, because he didn't fill up the room, have all the good opinions, but let the customers speak and truly listen to what they needed, and then deliver. By the way, Rafa, I don't know if you could mute your microphone for now, because I'm listening to myself.
I'll do it.
Thank you very much. Now it's much better. So, you know, there's many different styles, and many of you may have a rather technical background. You know, you're a developer or you're an innovator of some kind. Quite often, with technological background, you're fine as salespeople because you have very, very strong credibility as people who truly know what you're talking about. And you know, the greatest salespeople for startup companies are the founders, because you have passion for what you're doing, you're full of energy, you want to achieve great things through your innovations and through your products and services. So that passion is already like step number one to convince anybody that you're doing the right thing. Secondly, because you are talking about the things that you truly know, that is credible right there already. And the third point is that you are very knowledgeable in what you're doing because you've done more of it than anybody else that you're speaking with, most likely. So you have an edge over the person. So from that point of view, all startup persons can be good salespeople if they remember to listen. So, you know, as passionate as we are, we sometimes get hyperventilating and we get too excited about what we want to tell this poor bastard who hasn't heard about my great innovation yet. So I want to fill the room for the next 30 minutes by telling how wonderful the world will be once they bought my thing. And, you know, in the meantime, they've lost all interest. You didn't pay any attention. I've been in this kind of rooms a few times where a colleague of mine, who I've considered to be a great salesperson, has started speaking with the customer. And I notice that when the customer starts saying something like, well, we've been thinking to target to do this, then our salesman has cut the customer short and hasn't let the customer even finish the first sentence to tell what they would really like to do. If there is an original sin in the world, this is the original sin. You do not let the customer speak their mind. And of course, this is a very basic thing in sales. You don't tell them to begin with what they need. You ask them how they're doing in their business, what sort of problems they may have, how they are going about their business in general, what are their objectives for the coming year. Like now is a very good, you know, this is a good bridge. It's January now. So now is a very good time to ask, you know, potential customers that, so what have you thought that you would like to achieve in 2015? What do you think went well in 2014 and what didn't go so well? And then you start leading the discussion towards the direction that you would like to speak about and know more about. So that was just the intro to in a way convince that all of you can be great salespeople, and you should be salespeople as your startup personalities who know your stuff and you have the passion and you are very knowledgeable. There's a million ways to succeed, and your way may be the right one to go about it. Another topic is that you may have the product development or software coding or software architecture background, not all of you necessarily, but if you do, it's extremely important not to leave sales to salespeople who know nothing about the product, who know nothing about the technology. Your services and innovations are way too important to leave to so-called sales professionals. And if I may propose, don't hire sales professionals into your companies very early on, because most likely they don't have the passion, they don't have the knowledge, and they don't have the flexibility to sniff what you should be doing to your service or technology to make it more appealing to the audiences. So,
can I
yes.
have you just a few seconds? Because yes. I think you're saying something that we are remarking most of the time. First, doing about sales, talking about sales, all the founders need to be selling. We've been saying that from the beginning.
Yes.
Second one, don't get people into your company, block you from the customer, because the customer development, the customer interaction is key, because most of the time your value proposition is going to be shifting. It's going to be shifting, depending on them. So this is something we are 100% with you. And,
okay.
And actually, right. Most of the digital companies that they appear, they were getting at least the first 100 customers by hand, and then later on probably using some other channels or anything. So
yes.
we are 100% with you.
Okay, good.
Like it.
All right, I got that. Thanks. So I'm just saying that product development and service development and sales, they mesh. They should be together, and they should not be separated for one to succeed. Then one of the funny things is that sometimes a startup company or an entrepreneur starts thinking that for me to start selling, I want to be speaking with these big guys out there in the world, and I want them to be on my side and become my resellers, or I want them to represent me towards somebody in the market so that I can become a huge success. In the early phase of the market, just put on your own helmet, your own crotch protector, and your own bulletproof vest and get out there. Nobody else will do those first deals for you except yourself. You got to prove them. The funny thing is that when, Rafa was mentioning First Hop, the company we were working at about 10 years ago, we were very interested in having HP or IBM or Atos Origin or somebody else to sell our services to big companies around the world. They didn't care less. They didn't care less. They were just wanting to fulfill demand that was already there for somebody's services. So it was way too early. We went and closed our 20 deals by ourselves without anybody else's help. And then they all came flocking to us. And we were like, okay, so here you come now. We needed you 2 years ago. When were you then? But now when we can already close our deals by ourselves, now you're all so eager to represent us. But hey, no need for bitterness. They just want to fulfill demand that is already out there for somebody's well-known services. Early on, you got to make your own calls and learn what the sales is about before you can even dream about channels. About how do you work on sales then? You naturally understand that there is a sales funnel. So a sales funnel means that you have a lot of prospects in the beginning, and then you can only work on a number of them, and then you close a number of deals, the so-called power drops. Those are the ones that drip at the other end, and those are the deals that you close. Depending on the market that you work in, you may need 100 leads to close 2 customers. In other businesses, it works with different dynamics, and you may need 1,000 leads to close 1 customer in the beginning. So that varies from business to business. In the best of cases, when you're going for bigger accounts and you're going for large enterprises or telecom companies and so forth, it may be that you only need to work on 4 to win 1, but it takes you 24 hours, and very few companies have that money and resilience to work that long. So in the prospecting phase, I've been doing some mentoring here in Finland, and in the prospecting phase, if I would give one piece of advice, I would say that you go and select who you would like to win as a customer. Think about the service or product that you're developing and you're taking to market. Think of the absolutely ideal characteristics that the first companies who you would like to have as your customers, what kind of characteristics do they have? Are they big or are they small? Are they in Sevilla? Are they in Valencia? Or are they in Berlin? Or are they in Helsinki? Or are they in Silicon Valley? Do these people speak English or do they speak Spanish who buy your first services? Are they in pymes or are they consumers or are they larger enterprises? Are they in this or that industry sector? Are they innovators or laggards? If you think that you want to sell to laggards, forget it. Laggards never buy from small entrepreneurial companies. They buy from big ones who have 1,000 million references and you don't have them to begin with. So most likely you have to be targeting towards the innovator, early adopter type of customers. Oftentimes, so I feel that you should select the customers that you go for and think of those customers such that if I win that company, then with that reference, I can win the second and the third and the fourth one. Not the other way around, that they select you. Just try to act proud of what you have. They have the they have the honor of getting to do business with you. They're the first ones, and you have selected them. I have even used this insane term in the past when I've had my first meetings, that we have actually selected you out of all the players in the world, that we would like you to be our first customer because of this, that, and the other, and maybe that brushes their ego a little bit.
Yeah. Timo, sorry, can I stop you just for a second? I mean, we are talking all the time about B2B,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Business to business. If you can also add something regarding B2B2C or B2C, that would be great, because there are some companies here working towards B2B, but they would like to know also your opinion in case you're going also for the end user at the end.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So if you're going for the end user, I think it's all the more important for you to understand who might be that ideal first bridge as your consumer. Like I'm working for the personal cloud business of F-Secure. Let me show you the name of it. I don't know if you can see it, but it's called United, Y-O-U, United. So when we were first thinking that who should we be selling our service to, we were thinking that let's first go to the techno freaks who appreciate the high level of security and the technical differentiation in our service. Let's go first for this consumer segment, and then we would believe that they will talk warmly and positively about our service to the next people who may be the journalists. And the journalists will start talking to the consumers that here is a great service because it is secure, because it functions in different ways than anything else in the market, and these great innovators have already taken it into use and they say good things about it. So we were clearly trying to go for an innovator sector, and we knew that they were techno freaks. So for instance, our first web page and our first campaign messages were clearly more tuned towards people who are technically savvy and who know how to use cloud services. Now in the past 2 months, we've started making almost a 360 degrees turn in our, now we have about 2.5 million registered users on United. Now we are looking at, okay, so how do we get the next 20 million? We definitely need to go for the bigger masses, and techno freaks are not enough anymore. So in a few weeks from now, our website and our communication along the board will be changing much more towards people who are just normal dads and moms and normal professional people who are not working in the technical industry and who are not very technically savvy. So in our case, for instance, we made a behavioral study of the kinds of people that we could focus on, and then we decided that group number X is the one that we ultimately want to go for to become very big. But then we decided that the first small step that we need to take is to go for a completely different segment, which is quite small, but we hope that they're allowed and that they share a lot. So that's what we've pursued, for better or for worse. Another thing is that, of course, you know how it is to develop a service towards a consumer sector. You co-create services with them. You don't create a service which is so-called ready. You're in eternal beta. You know, I remember using Gmail like 6 years, 7 years after it was launched, and I noticed that it still said beta. Now that's the attitude. And for instance, for us, having a blog out there at united.com, where we've been telling all the time about how do we design the user experience, how have we built the security, what sort of things do we think are important, and we've invited people to talk to us over the blog. That's been very important for us as an input channel. We've been hyperactive. You know, Finns are typically not very communicative. We've been hyperactive on Twitter and on Facebook to get feedback on what is it that people are expecting from us. Our newest product in F-Secure is a VPN product that allows you to keep secret all the communications that you're, for instance, having over a Wi-Fi that you don't know who's running the Wi-Fi. So it's an encrypted line, and that Freedom product has an online feedback. So if anybody wants to say that Freedom is not working well or what they would like to have in the product, anytime they can push the button, give feedback on Freedom, and that's it. So it's built into the product that there is a feedback channel. So these are just some examples of how to keep your fingers on the pulse and make sure that you're doing the right thing at all times. Naturally, you need to also be able to then be flexible. When people are asking you stuff, you need to be able to do something about it. Rafa, did that answer your question at all?
It was brilliant. Actually, it was something that we were expecting from you guys. I knew that United was a B2B in the beginning, but I didn't know that you move and pivot in the way you did. That is just amazing for me. You move into B2B into B2C.
Yeah.
So now you're able to go back into the B2B with some services like the VPN, like the encrypted VPN, which is something very unique you do for.
Right.
So that is great. The way of getting marketing view and everything is perfect.
Okay. So moving on in the sales cycle. So for instance, if you're going for the consumer sector, then if you're going for the consumer sector, you don't have the luxury of going and interviewing every single user. What we've done is that we've done like very focused user studies every 6 months or so. So we've taken 15 to 20 people. In our case, we've taken them from 4 countries. So we've had UK, Germany, Finland, and Sweden. And we've had 3 to 4 people from each of the countries. And especially we've gone through the whole user journey with these people. So how do they find the service? Fine, okay, now they found the service. Now that they don't know anything about the service, do they know how to install it? Do they know how to take it into use? Do they know how to register? Do they prefer to use their Facebook credentials or Google credentials, or are they willing to set up new credentials for my service? Okay, now they got the service up and running and they see our screen in front of them for the first time in their Apple phone or in their Android phone or in their tablet or in a laptop. Do they know what to do? Is it clearly obvious to them what they should be doing? So we go the whole user journey step by step, and we run these sessions over teleconference at the simultaneous time in Berlin, in Stockholm, in Helsinki, in London, and then we're taking the feedback from people. We may have 6 to 7 of these sessions to go through the whole user experience, and then we get very, very detailed and high quality input. Of course, it's still a small sample. Now that we've been in the market with the direct service towards consumers for about 1 year, we've run 2 Net Promoter Score studies, and we've got thousands and thousands of people giving us their free-form feedback of what they appreciate about the service and what they would like to change in the service. It is an incredible amount of high-quality input that we've got, and I'd say that, you know, with the very focused group studies, with the Net Promoter Score studies, with the social media channels and the blog input that we've got, I think we're very well armed now to take United to the next stage in 2015 to make it even easier and more rewarding for people to use. But then moving on to sales process, next step, like I said, when you are in business to business, let the customer talk. Let them do the talking, and if you can stay completely quiet and shut up and just listen for 50% of the time, I give you a rose and I'm buying you the next beer. If you can stay quiet for 50% of the time, that is a fantastic achievement, because most salespeople cannot be quiet for 20% of the time because they're so overly eager. Once you've got people interested, I'm talking now business to business in this case, you got to be very persistent. You know, nobody falls into your story or into your approach after the first talk, you need to talk again and again. You need to let them talk. You need to let them digest a little bit, but don't give them too long. You know, I'm just saying that if you've been working on a lead for 6 months and you're a startup business, you may be out of business in 6 months if you give them so much time. So try to establish rather early on in the first weeks of the process, are these people really such that they have the guts to make decisions, that they are daring to do something different from others? Does the person that you're talking to have the authority and the balls, in a figure of speech, to do this kind of things? Are they willing to put their own experience and their own name on the line to potentially even make a mistake? And this is absolutely crucial. Don't start fidgeting with small people who don't have guts and who don't have the mental power to do anything out of the ordinary. They may love to talk to you, but they will never give you business. They are time hoggers and time stealers, and don't let them steal your time. If they've stolen 6 months from you, you know who's to blame. You are to blame because you let that happen. You should go to the next one much earlier. Okay, so I'm just jumping. You've been entertaining your prospects. You've cut down to a list of good, innovator, energetic, dynamic people who can make decisions. They are starting to tell you that, yeah, but for me to buy something from you, you should still do this, 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 and this for me. What do? What's the native gut reaction? My mom told me to be nice to everybody, right? My mom told me to be nice, otherwise I don't get dessert. So my tendency is to go and say, okay, we'll see what we can do for you guys. Yes, Masa, we'll do that for you. You're lost. You do it, and you spend another 2 weeks or another 4 months in R&D. You go back to this customer and they say, oh, but that's excellent. Now I have another 3 things I would like to see from you, and then I have the confidence to buy from you. Bullshit. The way that you can go about this is that you listen to them with very open ears, because the ideas that they give to you may be excellent. Some of them, hopefully, are applicable also to other customers or consumers that are asking for similar kind of thing. Tell them that, excellent. Are these all the things that you need from me to sign an agreement with me and do business with me? Or do you have anything else? And then you shut up. Remember, shut up. Don't say a word. Let the quiet be in the room for a moment, and then be that 30 seconds or 15 seconds. I know that there is never a quiet room for 30 seconds in Spain, but just in theory. So let them be thinking about what else do they need. And then they say, oh, but there's this one more thing that I need. Good, thank you. Anything else that you need? And then you say that, okay, if I fix these things for you, shall we close the deal? You know, the person really doesn't have anywhere to go anymore, because you've asked several times, is there anything else I need to do for you to close this deal with you guys? And then you say, okay, if I can fix these things for you, will you close the deal? He says, okay, I'll make an agreement with you. Then you say, fine, let me work on this. And then you come back with a proposal for an agreement which says that I will do these things in the future for you once you've signed the agreement. First you sign, you're in an agreement with me, then I'll do them for you. You ask and you lock. You ask and you lock, and they have nowhere to go, right? And this is the way you should go about it. Not tell them that, yeah, I'll do it, and then you show it to them and they never close. So you should always go for closure. And, you know, there comes a time, you know, we're technical and we love our service and we love to speak with this customer and they love the attention they're getting from you because you're sharp people and you know the world and all that. There comes a time when you just got to ask, okay, shall we make a deal? Right? Once you've locked and closed, shall we make a deal? Once again, you shut up. Don't say anything. because 80% of the salespeople, they forget to ask, do you buy? Shall we close a deal? 80% forgets that altogether. They ask almost the customer to ask that, can I buy now, please? No, you got to ask it. And then when you've asked, don't say that, yeah, because I got the quarter closing and, you know, it would be really nice after all this time to have you as a reference, kind of blah, 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 blah. And then you took all the fire away. Let them answer, right? Go for closure. And once you're going for closure, you got that almighty yes, que sí. Then you make an agreement. You don't just take their word. You don't deliver them something that you haven't defined in writing. To some extent, you have some sort of a service definition or a service description that by and large defines what you are providing for this customer. And there is some sort of a project plan if it's a business to business. There is an acceptance plan if it's a business to business, and payment milestones, and you sign it, and there are standard legal and commercial terms like how many installments do the customer pay, and what sort of payment terms and so forth. If you're in consumer business, you start going with the beta. Maybe you start with a freemium model, maybe you start with some other model. I will not be going into business models right now, but in the consumer business, of course, you don't need to go through this tiresome sales process the same way, but you will need to get the people to accept your service very quickly and give them a very valuable service to begin with, not a shitty, half-baked thing that doesn't barely work. You give them the greatest and finest that you have to get people in and to talk great things about you. Finally, about sales, you should always keep in mind, in the back of your mind, the first customers require extra special care and attention and selection and attention from you. But keep in the back of your mind that, okay, if I'm getting my first 100,000 euros of revenue this way, do I think that to get to 500,000 euros of revenue, will I do the same thing over and over again, right? Do I have the capacity? Can I do it this same way to get to 500,000 from 100,000? Some great, fantastic people can do it, but most likely, at some point in time between 100,000 and 1,000,000, you have to change the model that you sell. You have to start planning how you get normal, regular, people with IQs which are nothing close to your IQs to sell your stuff to other people who haven't been there to invent it, who haven't been there to build it or business develop it. How do you get those people to sell it? And if you are trying to get to consumers, then how do I get the digital marketing to run the business for me in a way that I can sell not only 200 consumers, but then to 2,000 and then to 20,000. And we know that there are a bit different kinds of ways. And for instance, here at F-Secure, we've been making stepwise investments into our digital marketing capabilities, depending on what has been the market size that we've been aiming for and how many people we've needed to entertain. So just keep that in your mind. How do you imagine that you will be scaling your sales later on? Because everything that you're learning in your own process in the first 6 months or 12 months of the company will be extremely valuable for the next steps, but it may not be enough to get there where you want to get. So that's all I had in mind about sales, and I can only guarantee that I've got all kinds of battle scars from being the first salesperson for small companies. I've had my own company. I've been working for companies with 5 individuals and 3 individuals and so forth. So I've tried it all, and I've been also in Nokia. Every Finn has worked in Nokia at some point in time, so I know also how it's like to work for a big dinosaur. In some respects, it's really nice and a great education, but I would not go there anymore. So that's about sales right now, and before I go into the capital and raising funds and investments and all that, I'd be happy to hear if there's any feedback, or am I just talking nonsense, or does this make any sense? Do you have any questions? Rafa, please.
Okay, so I can ask questions across. Okay, do you have one? Let's see. Oh,
Trying to do it in English.
Yeah, or in Spanish. I mean, in case
In the last 2 years, without having much conversation in English. Okay, first, at the beginning of the project, you had a project that was B2B, and then you moved that to B2C. So, did you transform the product to give the service to the B2C?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think we did this the wrong way. You know, we got 2 startup businesses in F-Secure right now. One is United, and in United we started from first going to mobile and fixed line operators across the world so that the operators could provide personal cloud services to their subscribers. So we first built the service to meet the needs of the operator. And then, like almost a year after, or 9 months after, we took it to the consumer segment. And what we needed to change in the product was that we practically had no take into use process in the service when we started. We had trusted the operator to build into their own websites or their mobile sites the way to take new consumers on board, right? How to register them, how they find the service. We had optimized everything in the back end. We had a great cloud storage platform which was capable of managing videos and music and documents and photos and what have you. And we had great client apps for Android and iOS and Windows Phone and laptop and Mac and so forth. But we hadn't built into the service any kind of registering process. Nothing. We had built nothing of how do you use the service when you start it type of parts. So I'd say that, you know, we didn't miss 10% of the service. We missed like 60% of the service when we didn't have it. And we had great growing pains in the second half of 2013 when we were building all of these things from scratch. That was not natural for us. We're a business-to-business company. So we were like a bunch of business idiots trying to understand how consumers truly want to sign up on consumer services. How do we get them to be excited users, and how do they get what the idea is in 30 seconds? You know the 30-second rule now on mobile apps. If people don't get it in 30 seconds, they delete it from their phone. So we definitely needed to adapt it. On another kind of an example, Freedome, the privacy product that we have, the VPN tunneling product, that was only built for consumers in the beginning. Only for iOS, only for consumers. The only thing we needed to do was that we had 4 very basic functions in the product. Like, you know, many people now use Netflix, and Netflix subscription is linked to one country alone. So for instance, most likely if you're a subscriber to Netflix in Spain, you can only use it in Spain. So when you're traveling for business or for pleasure, you can't connect to Netflix. So one of the capabilities in Freedome is that you can virtually change your location, geolocation, anywhere you want. So you guys over there can watch all the premium content from Finland when you change your, who would be as crazy to do that, but in theory, you know, you could connect to Finland and you could see all of our premium content. And everybody in Finland now using Freedome is watching Netflix using the US subscription, because you get better prices and you get more content, right? But that was one of the functions. Another one is, of course, that you can connect to a Wi-Fi in a public place, and because you're encrypting all your content, then you're secure that nobody can steal your identity or your passwords. So we had 4 or 5 different functions, and we were testing in practice, what do people use this for? And we found that the one thing that they really appreciate is the encryption. Extremely quick, one button to start usage of the service, and that was it. So then we focused all of our communications on the VPN tunneling and encryption and being invisible on the internet when you're in a public place. And it's gone like hotcakes. We've got over 1 million downloads for the application in the past 6 months, even though we are in a very early phase of marketing. Now we have added an Android client, and by the end of first quarter of 2015, we're adding desktop clients for Mac and laptop, and from second quarter we will start taking the Freedom product to our operator partners that they could offer it to their subscribers. But we definitely wanted to understand what the consumers really want by working directly with them first. And now that we're going to the operators, we will not stop the direct consumer business, because it doesn't take more than 3 months or 6 months to lose the touch. We need to get the product right at all times, so it's very important that we keep this direct channel at all times.
Thank you, Timo. It sounds like a very, very interesting experience, and I think most of the startups, if they were doing what you did, probably they will be gone. I mean, you have the opportunity of spending probably a year time developing the platform, but you've been blocked by the operator, which it was naturally your channel way of getting into the customer, but it was a long way. So you shortcut and you went directly to the end user.
I'm not a Catholic, but can I make a confession?
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Guys, guess how much it cost us to build our personal cloud platform? The cloud backend and the technologies related to the cloud backend to manage different kinds of codecs and documents and what have you, and store it in an extremely secure encrypted storage, which has malware detection, so that if anybody puts malware, it can never get to our storage, and all the clients on the different platforms. Guess what it cost us? Guesses, please.
Anyone? 1 million euro?
Okay. Any other guesses?
200,000.
200,000? Okay, they're going lower than that. Anyone? Okay.
Roughly 30 million.
Wow. So now you have it. I mean, that will be impossible to do for a startup. I mean, you will.
So, my message to you is that when we were building United, in the beginning, the company's sole focus was to start up in a new business where we already had over 100 million of business in the security side, and they wanted us to get to the personal cloud business, and the company had lots of money to invest into this. So we went for the business to business first and for the operators. So that was a huge amount of venture capital from our investors to do this. Secondly, when we started Freedom, how much did it cost us to build Freedom, the new VPN tunneling product, from start to finish in the first 12 months? Guesses?
Okay, no? Any guess? 10,000, they say here. Okay.
How much?
10,000 euros. Okay, in terms of time also, I think that will be interesting for you.
Okay. The Freedom, by the way, Freedom is written like freedom, but E in the end. Fredome. Okay? So if you want to have a look at it, so Freedom F-Secure, you can have a look at it. So it took 4 months to develop the first version of Freedom, and it cost us about 150,000 to 200,000. So there's your difference. When you're going for a consumer market, even though we had all the money in the world, I would say, at our disposal in F-Secure, we went for consumer first, and we could have had millions, but we felt that that was the wrong way to go. But of course, going for a mobile VPN business initially and then moving on to VPN business at large is a completely different thing than providing a personal cloud service, right? It's a different thing. You're running huge hosting centers and what have you to take on the OneDrives and Dropboxes and so forth. But just gives you an example of, even us, we go in a very different manner. We had a different startup, which was to allow families to communicate within themselves so that kids and parents can communicate from school and work very easily, and we could see where the mothers and fathers and kids are moving about in a map. And this is like to give you a bit of life safety, right? You know where your kids are moving about. You know when they come home. You know when they come to kindergarten. You know when they've left grandma's place, and so on and so forth. And then you can chat. We started this up. It cost us maybe 100,000 to get it started. We launched. We were out in the market for 3 months. Very little traction. We pivoted. Within 3 months, to try to find a better angle to get people to get the service, we shut it down in 5 months. Total investment, maybe 200,000. So, yes, you do well at times, and you just don't do that well at other times. But I think that even though we're a listed company of 900 people and our annual revenue is about 160 million euros right now, we still have some of the startup mentality in here to understand that we can go in different ways. And I think that's what makes it possible for me to work in a company like F-Secure, that there is this entrepreneurial startup spirit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that insight. And definitely, I mean, launching new services is always a challenge. It doesn't matter if you have an infinite budget or anything, as you say, because for us, that kind of budget is infinite. I mean, we could say, hopefully. Okay, yeah. What about raising money? Is it something you want to share with us? I mean,
yeah.
we have already expanded too much, but if you can have a few minutes with that,
okay,
it would be great.
So, from my point of view, I got perspectives from about 11, 10. Let's say, when was the last financing round? 2008 is the last financing round I've done, and that was about 5.5 million euros. So that's a mammoth financing round. We were a company of 35 people at the time. We had already 2.5–3 million euros of revenue. We were doing social network analytics, right? Very, very hot area, and we got something like 5.7 million euros. But those were the times. I don't think that the market works like that anymore. You know, I can talk a little bit from the Finnish perspective that a typical startup investment over here these days, coming from angels, is anything between 5,000 to 20,000, and coming from mentoring programs and startup funds is something between 20 to 40, 20 to 60,000 euros. These are the typical amounts of money to get you to the next stage. And if I have a learning from my several rounds of startups, I'd say that it's absolutely fabulous that the market works the way it does these days, because getting too much money too early is absolutely devastating for your mental state. In 2001, I joined as CEO into FirstHop, the company that Rafa mentioned earlier. We got a financing round of 7.2 million euros. I had 2 investors from Silicon Valley who said that, okay, we realize that you're now a startup of 60 people in Finland, but we would like you to set up an office here in Silicon Valley. Put all of your sales, your marketing, your product management over here, and I'd like you to move here too, Timo. So why don't you move here, set it up here in Silicon Valley, and let's get cranking. And I'm like, but I don't even have any staff in my product management or marketing or sales. You know, we don't even have the kind of products or the kind of value proposition that I could sell over in the US. So why on earth would I move my company over there? No, but we got all this money. We need to be showing that we're serious about the business. You need to go for the US and for the North American market and Silicon Valley. You know, that's a strong statement in itself. Those were the times. I'd say that was the hot air. That was mostly bullshit. And, you know, if we had gone for that, we would have easily spent 1.5 to 2 million euros in a couple of years on something that most likely wouldn't have given us anything. We took a route of smaller steps to spend that money. Very difficult times then, but we took much smaller steps. But getting back to the financing, why is it so good to get only 20,000, 40,000? Because it forces you to focus. It forces you to make small steps to begin with. And on financing, if I would have one single piece of advice that I can give to you and then shut up, I would say that do not raise too much money too early that dilutes your ownership in your company. Hold on to your company. Hold on to your possessions. Don't give more than 10-15% to outside investors too early on. You know, Rafa, he's a good guy. He puts some money, helps you get started. He gets angel money into your company. Get that started. Get the first beta out quickly. Try to close your first sales. Once you have the first 5 deals, a relatively well-functioning product, a message that you can pitch under 30 seconds in an elevator pitch, then people will be more willing to fund you, and you can sell the next part of your company for a much better valuation because you have some substance to go for. There are some people who are so excited that, you know, they want to sell 80% of their company too quickly, and they finally give the keys to heaven of their company in the next or the first 90 days. And then if there's an exit later on, most likely they're left with nothing else but pocket money, even though they put their energy, their innovation, and their marriage and house on the line. So don't give too much too early, because the investors will take it. You take just the amount you need. You be very, very careful with it. You try to give very clear deliverables at every single step. New deals, a better version of the service, reference customers who talk warmly about you, and a message that you can deliver quickly. Then go for the next one. I've had the luxury of working as a CEO in startup companies at a time when we were still able to raise money like millions and millions. Still, not everything went right, and we ran out of money, or we were in a situation where we saw that 3 more months and these 70 people will be without a job. What the hell will I do? Then you go to the venture capitalist at that time and you say that, dear banker, I'd like to have €500,000 so that I can get that as a bridge loan from you. I'll pay it back to you in 6 months because I know I'm getting this, that, and the other deal. Give me €500,000 and I can get over this rough patch. They say, but Timo, absolutely, we will love to give you €500,000. But in return for that, you will pay me first back when you make an exit. You pay me 2 million. Out of all the money you make, you first give me 2 million against this €500,000, and then you give me liquidation rights that give me rights to go for the rest of the money that you're getting, and I'm getting my money first, and you are the last one to get your money, even though you own whatever percentage of the company. And then you've signed your death warrant. You've lost your soul to the devil, and you have no way to get out, right? Because you spent your money a bit too early. I know things don't always go as planned. That's the way plans go. But I'm just telling you that you want to avoid the situation where you gotta go without those tangible products, without those reference customers, and say that give me €500,000 more. Because then you won't own your company after that exercise. They're in there to get money.
Okay, thank you for that insight. I mean, it's definitely in line with what we give as an advice to these startups. Raising money no more than 12 months ahead. I mean, about your plan. I mean, how much money you're going to be spending in 12 months, 18 months maximum, no more than that. Give 10 to 15% every time you're raising, no more than that, and yeah, don't try to be too big, too early, unless you are into a copycat type of market and application, and you need to be too big in the beginning. But most of the cases they have a unique advantage, and don't overdo it. So okay, any other question about raising money? Otherwise, we'll move straight on to the mentoring, to the one-to-one. I have four teams that want to meet with you. So do you have any other question to Timo? General for everybody?
Well, there's one.
Okay.
I think that there is a. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think that there is a similarity when you are dealing with customers and when you are dealing with investors, and there's an important part which is objection handling. So I would like you to tell us a bit more about objection handling coming from an investor about your startups.
Okay. So
okay, I'll put
help me get to the map. Are you talking about objections after they've invested or before they have invested?
Before.
Okay. All right. So, of course, they're the buyer and you're the seller. That's the basic situation. So how do you handle objections from potential buyers? I would just say, in a very philosophical sense, that when people have objections to your plan, the way you go about handling them, they don't only listen to the words that you're using. They're looking at how you behave. They're looking at, are you now at the last thread, the last millimeter of bearing with that discussion and still having the energy to, take the question, or do they feel that the guy seems confident? He's actually dead confident about the product and solution and service and the business. Even though I was objecting him pretty hard, he's handling it like a man or a woman. He's not crumbling in front of me. So they're paying a lot of attention to how you're taking this. So it's not only about the words. How do you handle the objections? Very constructively. I appreciate the question. Good question. This is what we've thought about it. Oftentimes the investors want to show how bloody smart they are by asking things that are not relevant in the very first meters of a startup company. They just want to show that they can overpower you by all of this knowledge that they have from all of the startups. Don't let that puzzle you. Sometimes you can just say that we realize that's a very good question. It's an excellent point to make, and we believe that in the very first phase, this is what we need to do. And then in the next step, that's where we need to get into that you're mentioning right now. And we would love to work with somebody like yourself to get, to solve that thing together with you when the time comes for that. If they are talking about the team, if they're talking about the value proposition, about the uniqueness in the market, and so on and so forth, these are all, or the financial plan, absolutely crucial elements. Absolutely crucial. Never take them lightly. Seriously. And depends on the question naturally, but these things are the fundamentals of investment. The people, the financing, your value proposition, your capability to stand out from the rest, and how you're going to take it out. Sometimes you can answer a question with a question. So they say, so what do you think of, how will you take this to market? Start by saying the first obvious thing that you're going to do, and then ask him or her, okay, and I'm sure that you have also good ideas how to act in this kind of a situation. What would you propose to us? What would you suggest? You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know everything. The point about startups is that you go step by step and you learn on the way. So nobody can expect you to know all these answers from the get-go, and you shouldn't feel ashamed about it.
Thank you, Timo. So thank you very much. Should we move on to the teams, right? Okay.
That's fine by me. I've got lots of time reserved for you, so if you have other questions, happy to take them. If you will go into mentoring, that's fine too.
We have another one. Sorry. Let's move on. Ms. Vanessa.
The question is, now you mentioned that you focus on B2B, and after that sometimes change to B2C, and sometimes pivot, and sometimes you make the decision of the millions of investment here and there. This decision come from the team, or you just who make the decision, and how much you involve in the team of, okay, let's change this one, or how to mention, how
Okay.
to say?
Very good question. So I think that you're capturing something which is one of the most essential things about startups and company management in general. So who is the one who needs to believe in the direction of the business most? Who is it? Who needs to define the direction, be passionate about it, put their house, their marriages, their lives behind it? Who are the ones who really should be most passionate about the idea and ultimately make the decision, the business you want to go for? It is the founders and the very management team of the startup. Those are the people who should make the decision. You make those calls, you make those decisions, and because you are passionate about them, somebody else is willing to finance those ideas and help them grow. That's the way it should go from my point of view. For years, I was CEO of startup companies for about 8 years. It took me a little bit of time to realize that I don't go to the board of directors to ask them what to do. It took me maybe 2 years to realize that it's me and my management team who need to believe in what we do. If we believe in it, then we can convince everybody else. The customers, the partners, the consumers, the investors. But if we don't believe in it, we're nothing but bureaucrats. So from my point of view, the short answer to your question would be that ultimately the management team of the startup needs to decide what it wants to do, but before deciding, it listens to all the parties and it takes opinions, but it should decide, right? It takes input from investors, from customers, from partners, and other experienced individuals, and sometimes even mentors. But you make the decision. It's your call, and then others should decide. The others' decision is, do they finance you or not? That's their decision.
Yeah, Timo, a question related to this question, and that decision should be made because of a customer. I mean, it has to be the market. It has to be a market-driven decision, or it has to be something related to something else. I mean.
Okay, all right, good point. So I'm sure that some of you have read the book about Steve Jobs, the one that came out maybe 4 years ago or so. You know, Steve Jobs was one of a kind, and don't mistake yourself to be Steve Jobs, because his opinion was that consumers don't know shit. They don't know anything, and he knows everything. And Apple is the only party who knows what they really want, because they don't know what to dream for. There is a little bit of truth in there, and I'll come back to that, but let's not think that we're Steve Jobs. So things should always be done in a way that consumers and customers ultimately feel that this is the right way to go. You definitely have to have a vision what can satisfy the end customer, right? The vision for what satisfies the end customer in one way or another needs to be the one that drives the decision. That one. Not somebody's investment, not somebody's personal plan to pay mortgage quickly or anything like that. What ultimately satisfies a customer's needs, that's what drives it. But several times in my career, I've been in a situation where I've had existing customers for something. And I've gone to my existing customers with an innovative idea and asked them, what do you think about this? And you know what they typically tell me? They tell me, no. Just stay on what you've been working on previously. Just continue polishing that until eternity. You know, when the oxygen is running out of the earth, go and polish this one single thing and just make it better, because we trusted you for that. So we want you to continue with that, and it's almost a risk to me to see you now innovating into this other area. Forget it, leave it to others, right? That's a dangerous situation to believe your existing customers. So that's a different situation. Existing customers typically are overly conservative and they don't want you to go into new directions. When we went with our first sessions for personal cloud into use case tests, we saw that people didn't know what to dream for. They were lacking in imagination. We couldn't get any great ideas practically from the 20 consumers we ran tests with. So don't make that mistake either, that consumers always know what to ask for. You know, this is the Steve Jobs type of thing, because they don't always know what to ask for. But what you can do is that if you have a vision for what could be great for them, formulate it into a wireframe, a screen picture, or some kind of a model and show it to some people. Test it with some people. Would you like this? How would this feel to you? How would that feel to you? If you had this, how would you change it? How would you add it with something else? And then you start getting the feel. But Rafa, it is the customer, fulfilling customer needs, be they latent or known, that drives the decision. But how do you find them? That's really the challenge, because customers or consumers don't always know what to ask for. Oftentimes, you know, who would have known that you would need Skype? Who would have known that you need Google Hangouts 10 years ago?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, if you are completely innovative, you need to be doing, but I mean, you need to be taking a huge risk, I mean, and put it into the market. But the way of doing it, the way you say about doing a beta and doing a continuous beta is the best way. I mean, but you talk to the customer, you get feedback from them, and you start building the thing around that. Better that than waiting for a full year until you have the platform ready and everything, and then you are trying to push it to the customer.
Yeah.
It's the way of getting feedback. I mean, it's not true.
Yes.
Okay, so
I have not finished the question. Is in your position now, how much delegation you give to your team? That means now you become very big. Initially you involved in everything, but now how much you involve entry in each level?
Okay, so there's a time for talking and planning, and there's a time for decision making. That's my short strategy. So when we're in planning mode, I try to involve practically everybody. I have some 130 people in my unit right now, and you know, I try to involve as many of them as possible. I did the same thing when I had 20 people in my team. So I try to involve them. I take their inputs in many different ways, and then I take typically an enhanced, you know, if I have whatever 5 or 7 people in my management team, I have an enhanced management team. You know, maybe I have a dozen people there who then run these, like, how do you synergize, you know, the knowledge that we've now gathered from everybody, and you start building like the assumption that, okay, this could be it, this could be it, and this could be it. And if these are the kinds of premises that we're building on, this is the kind of strategy we could select, and so on and so forth. And then you come up with a test version, but you do it within a smaller group of people. You take input from everybody, you make like a beta version of this is how we could go about the business, and then you test it with your team. Once again, you let them comment. Right, everybody can comment. And then you have the liberty then to come back again into your closed room within the 12 people or 7 or 6 or whatever, or yourself alone, and then you make that ultimate decision. But you listen to everybody. You took everybody's views into the picture. You have no way whatsoever to excite people to do what you want them to do unless they had a chance to see it and live it through the process that was needed to come to the vision and to the plan. So I'd say that if it's a big company or a small company, involve everybody at the right kind of time, but then at a certain point in time, discussion ends, and then there's the time to make decisions.
Okay, great. Thank you, Timo. So we'll close the communication here, and we'll start doing the one-to-one, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Do you need time to go to to go to the bathroom or something like that?
No.
We can go straight. Let's go.
I'm on an astral level. I don't need to go to the toilet anymore, so I can continue right away.
Okay, so let's start with the speaking, and then you're the first one, and then move to look. I was there. You're the second one, then I'll continue with that. So I have 4. If you want to be in the meeting, so let me know. So here we can. Gracias, Tino. By the way, I mean, the first 2 ones, I think they're in English. The following one, probably you can have it in Spanish.
Okay, all right. So, shall we continue on this same? ¿Seguimos con esta conferencia ahora?
Sí, si quieres lo podemos seguir aquí, no hay problema. Además puede ser interesante para otros. Okay.
Let's get started.
Hello?
Hi there.
Yeah, can you hear us? It's okay?
Very well, loud and clear, actually.
Okay, we applaud the sound a little bit. So you already answered quite a few questions, but first I will maybe introduce what we do at Speaky. So Speaky is a social network to learn languages with native speakers. And we are different from our competitors since we integrate the whole process from finding, meeting, and practicing with native speakers. So basically we offer an integrated solution which brings and offers integration to mobile devices and stuff like
okay, the line was cut temporarily when you were talking in the beginning about what Speaky does. Can you just please repeat that part? The line is cutting every once in a while, so difficult to follow sometimes.
No problem. So it's a social network to learn languages and practicing with native speakers.
Okay.
Basically, that's the whole thing. And now, so different from the competition in the sense that we are social. So the idea is that people share languages together. We don't bring any value in terms of software or anything, and we integrate the process from finding the native partner you want to practice with to practicing over video chat from the chat and integrate it into mobile devices.
Okay, and how do you do this practicing? Is it normal voice, or is it chatting by writing? So do you talk, or do you write, or do you do both? How does it work?
You do whatever you like, actually. What we do is we bring the tools, so the chat, the video chat, the matchmaking process, and that's it. You do whatever you want with this. But yeah, you can chat, that's the idea, and of course practice over video chats just like you would on Hangouts or Skype.
Okay, so right now we're practicing our English here. I'm not a native English speaker. I'm a Finnish speaker, and I don't know what's your native language, maybe Spanish. So
French.
Why? Oh, French. Okay. So in comparison to what we're doing here, what does your service do more to help you learn a language?
Right now, it doesn't do anything more.
Yes, no, it does.
Yeah.
We connect native speakers, so you can find, for example, if you want to learn Spanish or practice with Spanish, you will meet on Speaky a Spanish person that wants to practice is Finnish, and then together you will teach each other and practice together and hear the right accent, and he will correct you and you will correct him, and you will
okay, so instead of matchmaking the right lady with the right man, and they have certain interests, and there are matchmaking services for young couples. You are matching based on profiles related to interest in languages and so.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you up and running already?
Yes. You can go on gospeaky.com if you.
Speaky.com.
Gospeaky.com.
Oh, Gospeaky.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm there. So it's asking me to sign up.
Yeah.
Seems simple enough. Seems simple enough. I won't be starting to log in. So, is there anything special in your mind that
We
you
cannot
would like
see you,
to ask or hear my views on?
Actually, you answered quite a lot of questions. Well, the idea is that we are still building the product right now, so everything is free. And I don't know, maybe if you have any insight regarding monetization, like you didn't talk about the business models, like freemium and stuff. If you see like some quick business model or everything you could build on top of the
Okay. So, when I'm looking at the most common model in the market these days for services which are giving you something quite tangible, like storage space, it's typically freemium. So you give a little bit for free, and then if you want more, you need to pay. And for instance, at United, we give anything between 5 to 10 gigabytes for free, and then if you want 50 gig or more, you need to pay a monthly fee.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that kind of thing works for you at all. Another one is that in this, if I were you, most likely I would look at the business models that dating services have.
Yeah, it's free.
So
Most of them.
sorry, the line is cutting a bit again. Can you say again? I can't hear you now. Now I can hear you again.
You should turn on.
Yeah, the webcam, maybe it's taking a lot.
Okay. Yes, I can hear you. Very bad line.
Yeah, but maybe you should have the webcam.
I should close the webcam.
Yeah, maybe try it.
Yeah, let's see. Now it's off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It seems to be working better now.
Yeah, it is a bit better. So please go ahead. So I was just saying that dating services might be a pretty good model for you, and what are the different kinds of things that they do. I worked with a dating service when I was running an analytics company. We were helping a UK dating service, and they had a monthly subscription, but there were very few people who wanted to take it. Most people wanted just a free service, so in the end they started giving the service away for free to everybody. And then when you were chatting with somebody that you wanted to date with, or you wanted to have your profile show extra nice things about you, then you needed to upgrade to premium. Also, when you were dating with somebody, there were virtual roses and Valentine's Day cards and things that you needed to pay for.
Okay. Yeah, actually, those things are the things we already thought about, like professional services. Like instead of freemium, we integrate professionals to market themselves on the platform, and we take commissions out of this.
Yeah.
Which could be an alternative. Yeah. So, but the main thing is that from when do we stop scaling and building to start monetizing, and yeah, that's the main idea. It's before investors, after, because now we're in startup and we know that what we're building, it's good for the people who are actually willing to do language exchange. So to what extent we continue in that niche, and to what extent we stop and start monetizing.
Okay. Now you know it very well that when you're going for a consumer sector, then to get people to want to, for instance, advertise or sell something at your site, nobody's interested in anything else but large volumes. So it's clear that before you have 50,000 or 100,000 or 1 million consumers, it's going to be a bit of a challenge to get people to come onto your site and start selling something there or advertising on your site, for instance. We have seen that if there are markets where the product is typically paid for, I'm giving an example of, for instance, antivirus software. Typically, people have had to pay for antivirus software. In came AVG, a company from Europe, which started giving away antivirus to everybody, but instead they have advertising space and search in their product, and every single search that people started making while they were on AVG makes money for AVG, and they started making huge amounts of money, not from antivirus, but from the searches that people were making with their antivirus client. So they had an embedded search client. So that was one way to break the market in antivirus. I think that getting advertisers onto a site is super difficult, and typically it takes hundreds of thousands of users before advertisers start to be interested.
Yeah.
But then again, also if you want to go for the advertising model, you can promise something extra for the first ones, naturally. So you may think that if you get, let's say, who would be the big grand prize as your partner to pay for your services for Speaky? What do you think? What would be the greatest company that you could work with?
Well, actually, I think there are different big companies we could work with, but what I was talking about when I mentioned professional services, it's more like English teachers or Spanish teachers and stuff like that, who could market themselves in the sense that they could offer the tutoring solution, like.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean there are also big companies such as Udemy or Duolingo and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, but we have to finish now.
Oh, okay. I would have thought of the best possible sponsor for your site, and try to get them there for free for a certain time, and then try to get them pay for at least some money for the rest of the time, and then you can show to others that, look, I've got Berlitz or EF Language Tours or somebody on my site, why don't you join too?
Yeah, okay. And that's a great idea.
Mm.
Okay, well, thank you a lot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye. All the best.
Okay, hello, Timo. I'm David. We are a startup. We call us Look, I Was There.
Okay.
We are selling trips directly from local tour operators, and we are moving basically in the virtual world. So I would like to ask you if you have any trick or recommendations about how to do the first sales on virtual world.
On virtual world.
As in Google, social media, all these kind of things.
Okay, so how do you actually want to make that sale? Do you want to put something into, do you mean that you want to, for instance, have search engine optimization or search engine marketing? Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, for the first thing, I think that it's very, very important to get in touch with somebody who knows one heck of a lot about search marketing optimization, because it is a science in itself. And for instance, I was involved in a startup called GoodDoctor.fi here in Finland. So it was a service for people to find the best doctor for whatever problem they had with their health, okay? So they were able, can you still hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So
we close the microphone not to make noise to you.
Okay,
so
very good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so it's mute. So I was in this company called GoodDoctor.fi. I was an investor, and I was actively helping the company to get started. And the way that we wanted to get to market was through the web and search engine optimization and so forth. And what we decided to do was that we got a person who was employed somewhere else, but was an excellent search engine optimizer and search word optimizer for different kinds of services. And that person, in a way, coached us and helped us get our website correct, start using the right kind of languages or right kind of words in our marketing messages. So it's very, very important for you to test different messages against each other and how they're starting to have effect. So everybody talks about A/B testing. So if you, for instance, promote your service on a website and you want to be giving a message to potential buyers, then always test. Don't put just one message in there, put two. Change them and measure which message has the better traction, which gets more popularity. So the A/B testing of, does this word work better than that word? Should I give a long sentence instead of a short sentence? Should I use technological words, or should I use very consumer-friendly words, and so on and so forth, so that it should be a constant testing that helps you find the right angle. So I would just say two steps. Number one is to get somebody who is very knowledgeable in search engine optimization and search engine marketing to help you use the right kind of language and find the best words that you should be using, and then test. Are you still there? Hello? No tää on Timo Laaksonen, hei. Näin, että soitit hetki sitten, olin toisessa puhelussa, niin ei voinut vastata. Joo. Okei, selvä. Jatka, joo. Okei, se. Aha. Joo, mulla oli objektiivisuojuus ja sen piti olla tallessakin mulla jossain, mutta mä en nyt löytänyt sitä. Joo. Okei. Joo, onko se muutaman kympin se objektiivisuojuus? Siis mulla ei puutu siitä, kun se muovi palaa. Siitä objektiivista. Eli mullahan on semmoinen objektiivisuojuuslinssi siinä. Joo. Mut puuttuu vaan se muoviläpyskä. Se oli pudonnut varmaan viime kesänä. Joo, mennään semmosella sitten. Hyvä.
Suena de verdad, Timo.
Let him finish with the phone.
Sí.
Yeah, no, it was.
Sorry.
Hi, sorry, Timo. The connection cut is the one. Where is he gone? Where? I think he's gone.
Maybe go to the start.
So, Timo? Maybe close the webcam?
Hi.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hello, this is Timo. The line is very bad. Can't hear anything.
Google is somehow a problem in here. Should we move to the Skype?
Did you prefer to use
Skype is okay. Skype is fine. Skype is fine.
Let's
So-
give it a try in Skype.
Yeah, my username on Skype is TIMOTL.
Rafael Skype is on.
Yeah.
Yeah, online. Oh, yeah. Close the Google.
Yeah, you can call me on Skype. Timothy L. Hi there. Yes, now I can hear you. Yeah, okay.
We were talking last time about the how to handle the pressures online, and you were mentioning to get an expert in SEO and SEM to be able to target better the final user.
Yes. Okay, so yes, so I was mostly talking about the fact that typically when you're going for online marketing, I would say now there's a connection problem again. Okay.
Do you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, I mute the microphone here for you not to get noise.
Okay, good. Okay, so I was saying just two things about the digital marketing or online marketing through search engines and advertising, that it's good to find an expert who knows what to optimize first. For instance, in your website and in your marketing messages. And secondly, then when you start pushing your messages out as advertising or in through a search engine, then do constant A/B testing of your messages. So go for the effectiveness. So for instance, in our case, our direct business team is running constant A/B testing, and they believe that the setup of our message and the sequence of messages that we were showing to people, if it was correct yesterday 9 a.m. in the morning, today at 12 p.m. it may be completely wrong, or it's not effective anymore. So in that sense, try to find what works for you. For instance, in the United marketing that we were doing, we were looking at the click-through rates of people who were entering our website, and we got a click-through rate of about 1% of the people clicking to the messages we had. We changed. Can you still hear me? Because my video from you has now frozen.
Yes, we stay here.
Okay, good. I got you back now.
I'm gonna, just in case.
Okay, I got you back again. So what we did was that we had a certain message on our website, and that was the landing page from all the different marketing we did on social media and search engines. And the header that we were using was quite technological and a bit of hype, okay? And then we went and changed it to a very understandable thing to common people. And from 1% conversion on our website to next clicks, we got up to 13%. So that was just a fabulous improvement. And that showed us very early on that, it makes a big difference of what we say. And then there was a certain time that was fine, but then we needed to start changing it again because it didn't work very well. So I'm just saying that, in terms of search engine optimization, marketing, A/B testing, digital marketing, I would not have dreamt of the capabilities that one can have there, and I would not have known how to go about it without having an expert help us. When I was working at the startup Better Doctor, then we didn't have anybody hired. The person was just giving us services, and he charged us for a few hours of help. At F-Secure, we've hired somebody who is a professional at digital marketing to do this for us.
Yeah, but I was thinking about externalizing or not. But and to ask you, click or any questions to try to.
Once again, I took my video away. Sorry, I'm taking my video away. I'm having difficulties in hearing your questions. Can you send me your question by chat?
Timo?
Yes, I'm here. Can you send me a question by chat?
Indeed. If I can find the chat, because this mouse is so complicated. They put this magic mouse. Let me see.
I'll send you one first, and let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can see it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
for the you finding the talent. How you guys